welcome to yet another edition of Editors Forum on Galaxy Television. I am Layo Shobo Show, and I'd like to say a very happy new month to you. It is my prayer to God that this month bears so much greatness for you and for everyone watching and listening to us right about now. It's also been another week of series of events, from international events, even national events, and as you know, as we do on Editors Forum, we bring these issues on the front burner to the table and have professionals in the field discuss and give solutions to this problem so our nation and the world at large could be a better place. And diving straight into it, I have with me Mr. Ayodele Olalere, a political editor, News Watch newspaper, and also former editors, here and there at other newspapers. It's so good to have you in the studio. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Layo. Good afternoon.
All right, and our second guest will definitely be joining us via Zoom. That is Mr. Mohammed Abdullahi, a public affairs analyst and African affairs commentator. Hello, Mr. Abdullahi. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Oh, okay. I guess we'll have his visual and audio feed very soon. Moving straight to it, on Tuesday in South Nigeria, Delta State precisely, the State Police Command paraded a total of 67 gay suspects arrested over homosexuality at an all-night wedding reception at a popular hotel in Delta State. And this is despite the same-sex marriage prohibition bill that was signed into law in 2014 by President Goodluck Jonathan, which criminalizes public displays of affairs between same-sex and even restricts work of organizations that are defending gayism in Nigeria. The law also bans union or marriage between same-sex in Nigeria, and even people that witness such marriages are liable to 10 years in prison, while the couples themselves will be, going for 14-year jail term. Now, despite this law is in place in Nigeria, homosexuality is still a thing, and we will be looking at this today first before we move on to other topics. Before we delve into the discussion, let's see this report. When we return, we take the discussion.
67 gay suspects were arrested at the venue of the after-wedding pool party when a crack team of police operatives stormed the event after arresting one of the lead suspects named Chooks. Addressing newsmen, the Delta Police Command spokesperson, Edafe Bright, narrated how they were intercepted.
They intercepted one Chooks, Chinye, dressed, he happens to be a male, but he was dressed like a lady. Upon intercepting him, he told the policemen that he is an actor that came from Lagos State to shoot a movie here in Delta State. They brought him to the station and continued interrogating him before he now gave us a confessional statement that he belongs to the gay society and they are having a ceremony at one hotel called Tibulus Hotel along Refinery Road.
An eyewitness also gave an account of the gay after-wedding party, as a victim narrated how he was sexually assaulted, while the police spokesperson urged parents to always monitor their ward.
Saw some guys dressing like female, modeling. Someone was even wearing wedding gown, going around the poolside. So when I saw everything, I became so uncomfortable because I haven't seen such before, because that is not exactly what they told me the party is all about. Seeing a guy wearing female wears, making up and other things. So I got upset. So it was around 2, I decided to leave. When I got to the gate man told me it's already late, that it can't be possible for me to get a keke that will take me to where I'm going.
I was very drunk. I don't know what's going on. They said you should stop. He was having sex with me. He was having sex with us. I said stop. I was not on myself that day. I was not myself.
I dressed as a female because I'm a model. I wanted to perform on stage.
I want parents to monitor their children closely. It is very, very important for them to monitor their children, monitor their peer groups, their association, and the kind of people they go around with. Monitor them. We have had cases where some male suspects even go as far as defiling male minors. Male minors. It is getting to that level, and that was why the CP said it is very, very important to parade this suspect and let the entire world, Africa as a continent and Nigeria as a country, to see what is going on.
The Delta Police Commissioner, Wale Abad, vowed to ensure transparent prosecution in line with Nigeria's anti-gay law, which prohibits same-sex marriage.
To report on the events that happened on Tuesday precisely in Delta State. Now, during a conversation when, this came up, one of the thoughts or the statement that was blotted out is Nigeria has too many serious problems than to be focusing on arresting suspects and then prohibiting them, just as was said when lawmakers in 2021 were deliberating to regulate bleaching creams in Nigeria. So do you believe also, or would you say that this is not a problem that Nigeria should be looking into?
Well, thank you, Layo. You see, I will start by saying there's a popular saying that it is lawful to be lawless.
It is lawful to be lawless
in a lawless society. What do I mean? In a society where there are laws and those laws are not enforced, then people have the tendency to do whatever they like. Where morality breaks down, the society where morality breaks down, it's also easier for the people to break the constitutional law. Of course, there are agencies, different types of government that takes care of different things. So people saying that this is not the right thing to do, or this is not what government should focus on, they are not saying the right thing. Because once morality breaks down in society, it affects every other thing. Just as you said earlier, President Jonathan signed into law that bill 14 years. Between 2014, when that bill was signed, and now, how many people have been prosecuted? How many people have been sent to jail? It was not until 2019 that probably one or two persons were arrested, and it was even by Islamic courts in the northern part of the country. So what are we saying? When you have so many laws and you don't enforce them, people know that even if I'm arrested one way or the other, they can bribe their way out of it. Then what are you telling other people? You are emboldening the citizen to continue to break that law. So these people that were just arrested now, about 100 of them, in the next few weeks, yes, in the next few weeks, where will they be? Will they still be in prison? Will they be in court? Will they be sentenced?
Okay, the police is talking about arraigning them in courts very soon.
And those have been arraigned. What has happened to them? That is the problem we have. It is not about the laws. It's about enforcing the laws. In some countries, especially in Arab countries, homosexuality, gay, whatever is banned. And people know the consequences. In some countries, death penalty. Especially in those Arab countries, Saudi Arabia, and so on. Now, you cannot go there and carry out these things because you know that you'll be punished. We can only stop this if government is ready to enforce the venue where those guys were using, where they were arrested. Somebody owned that venue. Somebody rented that venue to them. And before you rent a venue for any event, they will ask you, what do you want to do?
What is the event about?
What is the event about? When it was going on, they will have somebody, probably the manager, that monitor. They saw it. So what did they do? That's the problem we are having. Until government is ready to enforce the laws, people will continue to break it. They will continue. They will know that they can go away with it. Go away with it.
All right, Mr. Abdullahi, do I have you on air now? Can you say something about it? I'd like to have your opinion on that too.
I'm here. Yeah.
Okay, so one of the thoughts, as I mentioned earlier, is that Nigeria has bigger problems to focus on than focusing on homosexuality, arresting and arraigning people for that. Would you also say, yes, Nigeria has more problems than that? Or do you think this is a move in the right direction by the police and the government?
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Nigerians, or good afternoon, Nigerians. Apologies. I think for me, there is nothing like bigger problems, actually. Most of our problems, if not all, stems out from loss of family values, our cultural values, and what we're actually known for. I tell you, it's anti our values. I mean, as Africans, to talk about gay, lesbianism, and all what have you. So, if we want to be very candid with ourselves and want to be very truthful with ourselves, we should go back to our value system. We need reorientation. We need to go back to what works for us in the 60s, in the early 1900s, where our system, I mean, our family value system were really upheld by our forefathers. What do I mean? All of the problems that we encounter in Nigeria today, I seriously tell you, it stems back to the loss of the family system. I remember my grandfather used to tell me back in Ondo State, where I come from originally. My grandfather used to tell me a story that, back then in the village, if you have a policeman visit your home, it's like a taboo that almost everyone in the village will run away from you and your family because nobody wants to associate with you. Because everyone is like scared. Wow, what is a policeman like doing in your household? But now it's even a normal thing for people to go to jail and come back and become chiefs and become governors and become senators in Nigeria. We no longer have shame. We've lost all of our family values and so on and so forth. So that's the challenge. We need to go back to our value systems. I mean, as Africans, as Nigerians, our cultural systems that have worked for us. I tell you, if we fix the family system in Nigeria and our cultural value system, we'll have a lot going on for us. If I come back directly to your questions of the people that were arrested, like the gentleman in the studio rightly mentioned, someone actually owned the venue. People sign up for this venue for such activities to go on. But again, aside that, we've had celebrities in Nigeria. I don't want to mention them now, but I know you know what I'm talking about. Whose father recently died, I think 2 weeks ago or last week. Who's been cross-dressing. What does the law say? This guy is a man. He's been cross-dressing as a female. He's been celebrity. He's all over the news almost every day or if not every week. He's had people who follow him, who look up to him. What does the government do? I mean, what does the law enforcement do about him or her? So, like aside the law not being well implemented, it's also selectively implemented, in my own opinion. Some people do the same thing and get away with it, while some people probably, because they are less known or do not have the wherewithal in society, do same thing and they are, apprehended for it. So we need to go away from that. We need to make sure everyone is equal before the law. And if you carry out anything illegal against the Nigerian Constitution and the Nigerian laws, you are well dealt with accordingly.
Okay, so bringing it back to you in the studio, Mr. Adeli, he mentioned going back to our family values, but we also know, he cited an instance that I love, that if the police comes to your house, even people in your community will start to look at you differently. They wouldn't even want to associate with you and every other thing. Now, quite right, this family values and community values are very, very, they are behind our development at the time. But also, the effects of this arrest and other things were very stringent, we would agree. It leads to, outcasts and other things. And I think that is one of the things that has been tried to be refigured into, okay, even if people did the wrong thing, we don't need to make them an outcast and, ban them, shun them off totally. So don't you think, going back to these family values now, this stringent effects will be too much for people to bear? Because many people that were, sent to exile or treated like outcasts, they end up committing suicide, and that is not even good for the society.
I do not really think so. You know why? Let me give you an instance. as far back as 2003, I was with a particular media house, and there was this guy that always comes to our office. He walks like he's a man, but he walks like a woman, he dresses like a woman. He's popular now, you know. And before you know it, a few years later, this guy turned cross-dresser. He's a very popular guy. You understand? Then you ask me, this guy comes from a particular home. His father, his mother, where were they? Did they not notice this guy when he was, you know, behaving like a woman? Even now, you see some women, some mothers, they dress their little ones. You know, they put on the man, they dress a boy, they dress him like a girl, the girl they dress like a boy. So it starts from there. People do not see anything wrong in it anymore. People now hear so-called cross-dressers, celebrities. They now hear them. They see them as people they look up to in the society. So I still agree that we need to go back to that, to that value. You know, it starts from home. As a father, as a mother, when you see your child, you know, behaving abnormally, a boy behaving like a woman, a girl, what do? Do you take notice? Do you try to correct them, or do you just say, "Oh, it's their time"?
Well, another question that came up in the course of conversation during the week was, okay, so if one notices one's child is going that way, will you kill that child?
You don't. Why? Why will you kill that child? That I said it starts from home, when the child is very young. Actually, some of us grew up from a home. We are not doing like that. Those ones that are practicing this is what happened. That's the question. So if you see one or two or three people that are brought up properly, they are not behaving like that, those ones that are doing like that, that means the fault comes from home. And at times, some of them were not brought up like that anyway. Some, when they grow up, they move out, they get to the university, they turn to, you know, something else, they begin to imbibe, you know, practices that they were not taught at home. So parents need to know that when your child leaves you, probably 18 or 19, you still have the responsibility to monitor that child, even up to the university level, up to, you know, when a child gets to the level where you know that, okay, fine, this is my child, you know, has imbibed the values that you have inculcated in him or her. So it's why we okay? It's just about trying to, you know, bring them up, give them pep talks. The spiritual aspect of it is also there too. There's a popular celebrity, I won't mention his name, you know, the way he dresses, people are even looking up to him. People look at, oh, this person, they want to be like him. Some children, some younger ones are even dressing like him. So if we don't go back to that value, and as I said, government try to enforce the law, banning same sex, will still continue to be where we are. We just be, you know, moving around and around without getting any solution to it. People are banned. People want to break law. People want to do as they like. That's why you have the government. If the home fails, then the government also have the right to take it up. To say, okay, fine, you failed at home, your parent has failed, or you have failed yourself, we can correct it. That's where that law now comes in. If somebody is sentenced to jail for 14 years, it comes out, there will be a kind of, you know, sanity, there will be a kind of reorientation in that person before the person even think twice before even going back to its way, to that particular way of life.
But still on that you mentioned now, I'll be coming to you, Mr. Abdullahi. So on that you mentioned of, okay, in jail, coming out, there is some form of sanity. But it has also been said many times that even in prison, these acts are so you know, done, even in prison. So what then, now the government, let's say the government has taken bold step, or if enforcing the law and getting the people, you know, imprisoned. Now also in prison, these acts still thrive. What then can be done in that instance? Over to you, Mr. Abdullahi.
Now, in that instance, it means our correctional system, because that's the way the government likes to call it now, is actually not working. And why is it not working is because the way it is designed, the way it is built, and the way people are just dumped there. It's actually supposed to be a correctional system, not a prison, like you say. A correctional system in the form that it will reform characters. People will go there and then have cause to rethink, have cause to, have a rethink of idea of their values, of what they want to become, going away from what brought them in there in the first place. So, what I would say in this instance is that our prison and correctional system should be reformed, should actually carry out what is supposed to be in terms of reforming people's character, not condemning it the more. Because what we have at the moment is like people are just dumped there, and then perhaps what they see there is even more worse than where they are coming from. So it rather than reform them positively, it reform them negatively, that whenever they just leave that place, they want to go back to their crime, what brought them there, or they want to even do more than negatively than what brought them there initially. So it behoves on the government in this instance to really reform the correctional system to make sure it is carrying out the job for which it's been established and designed. But having said that, I would also like to go back a bit to what my colleague in the studio mentioned. You see, we have this Yoruba saying that says, Omota bako, omagbe ileta kota. It literally translates to the fact that any child you fail to train properly at home will eventually sell that home and leave you as a parent homeless. And it's true, actually, because if you bring up your child in a proper way, he or she knows what to do. He or she knows that from the onset, he is a man or she is a girl. Even when she becomes a teen and goes to the university, leaving you at home as parent, he or she will understand the kind of influence, the kind of people and persons, he or she will associate with. Is a fact. But in this instance, what do we expose our kids to even at home? Like my colleague already mentioned in the studio, you find people who knows that she's a girl at home, she's been dressed as a boy, they are exposed to dangerous media, they are given phones, smartphone, right from the age of 6, 7, 8. These guys are even exposed to mini pornography and so on and so forth. They are exposed to so many things as a result of transgender and so on and so forth. So these guys, these little kids, from the way their lackadaisical attitude of their parent, have imbibed all these things negatively. So it's very important that from the home, the parents do their job. I tell you, it will be so much easier for Nigeria and our society at large if every parent does his or her job.
Okay, so let's now bring it to celebrities, as you both have mentioned earlier. We have comedians, giving us content. Yeah, I will call it premium content in comedy, but we see the men dressing effeminately just to to show the content they are trying to shove out to the people. Now, most times this has been termed, okay, it is just content, and they need to get into the act to bring out that character. So many times they want to show, tell us a comedy or do skits that that portray how parents, especially mothers in the home, do. And it is a guy that is doing that skit, so he has to literally, dress that part. But this, there's been so much criticism, and many have also linked that to the rise of homosexuality. Would you agree with that? Although personally, I think it is just the act, and to perform some act, you have to get into the act, which also includes your costume. But do you think that could also be a problem in disguise in what you are talking about?
I do not think so. You know why? Most people engaging in homosexuality, in these great practices, they started when they are older, right? Mm. The comedians you are talking about is just an act. probably 1-2 seconds, video clips, 5 minutes, and that's it. But most of these celebrities, they've made it the practice. You see them outside, that's where they dress outside. A comedian who is comedy dressed like imagine like a woman, after the practice, he or he will remove the costume. Now. I mean, you will not see him outside probably dressed like that or see her dressed like that. But most of these celebrities who are really into it, they dress like that outside. They portray it, they tell you that this is the way of life now. And that's what people are copying. That's what people want to emulate. So if people are saying because of that, no, it's just a way of, probably just entertaining people, and it ends. But those who are making it a regular practice, regular way of life to dress like that, they go to parties, they dress like that. They go to the market, they dress like that. So they even come on here, some even dress like that. Come on here. You understand? So it's not really, it doesn't have effects. It doesn't have effect. However, that does not mean that as parents, you need to be wary of what you allow your younger ones, your kids, to watch, probably on the phone, on TV. There are content that you feel probably is not suitable for them, that you affect their accessibility, you probably change their orientation. Fine, you have the right to say, no, I don't want you to watch this, don't watch this.
Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit of religious bias into this. So I'm going to be asking you also, Mr. Abdullahi, do you agree with him that comedians, skit makers, and their costumes and the acts do not have an impact on homosexuality in Nigeria?
Yeah, I think I have to disagree for the first time with my colleague in the studio. For me, I feel, and there are so many research to back it up, I feel entertainment plays a greater role, not even a great role, a greater role in influencing a whole lot of people across the world. And whether it's 1 second skit, 2 minute skit, 5 minute skit, or 2 hours home video, entertainment is entertainment. And in fact, even the skits are now more popular now than home videos. So entertainment plays a greater role, and it poses a greater risk, in what we are talking about. Fine, like you mentioned, probably after 2-5 minutes, these comedians, these skate makers do not continue with their costume. But yet, these things is already there on the internet. And like we say, the internet never forgets. It's just for you to have a click or a search on Google, and then you get all these things. So, but what I agree with him, I would disagree that it doesn't really influence. It does in a great deal. And then we need to actually checkmate that. Yes, because it's actually even confusing. I see some actors, I've had my kids ask me sometimes, Dad, why is this man a man here and then the next minute is a female there or is a woman there? It's confusing. It's even more confusing that someone is playing double roles, like a male here, female there, and so on. It's at best trying to tell the kids who are watching that, yes, you can actually change from this to that at any moment of your life and so on and so forth. Yeah, so it's very dangerous and it's very risky. And religiously, for me as a Muslim, is a no-no, is a no-go area. And then we need to censor what our kids watch. It's very, very important. Seriously, all of the things that they pick up at a younger age, devoid of what we practice, is from this entertainment. Whether it's from TV, it's from the kind of music they listen to, it's from what they watch on TV, and even cartoon. Those things that you feel are primarily even meant for children. There are so many cartoons now in Nigeria, all over the internet, that are laced with LGBTQ, lesbianism, gay, and so forth. So many cartoons that is grooming kids, to embrace this dangerous value system. So we need to really watch and censor what they do, what they watch, and then what they listen to at home.
Okay, thank you very much, my guest in the studio, and of course, Mr. Abdullahi, for your submission so far. It has been mentioned, family values, we really need to go back to that. Parents being mindful of what their children see, what their children watch, and every other thing. Also, enforcement of laws, that is on the government side, it has to be done. And then also prison reforms, because as Mr. Abdullahi said, that's a place, it's not a place to condemn It's a
Correct.
place to correct,
Right.
and then when people are coming out, they should be reformed and not get in there and, you know, be more corrupt and, you know, lives destroyed even more than it was before they got in there. Thank you very much once again. So with that, we move to